This is Gallery 1313, and it has quite a story. It was built in 1931 by the City of Toronto under the direction of J.J. Woolenough, who was their in-house architect, and a really good one. He did things like the Cow Palace on the exhibition grounds. He's done lots of buildings. He was involved in the Harris plant out on the beach, the big water treatment plant. Now, it's done in a style called Art Moderne. There were two styles, Art Deco, which went up and down, and Art Moderne that went like this. Characteristics. Curved surfaces. Notice here, even though on the window sills they're curved, the curved door entries. Queenston limestone mixed with red brick. It's another kind of polychromatic. Notice that as you go up, there's strips of white limestone. Okay? So it gives the building a horizontality. And also the corners being rounded. In the 1930s, they had a thing about streamlining, so you even streamline buildings. If you look at it from across the street, it looks like going like that. It was a police station. In the 1950s, when Metro came, they didn't need all those stations because they put the policemen in cars. Mr. Dunn was Alexander Dunn, and he was the first Canadian recipient of the Victoria Cross. And he won that Victoria Cross at the Battle of Balaclava in the Crimean War in the charge of the Light Brigade. Some of you remember Lord Tennyson, On Again, Into the Valley of Death, all that? That's right, you and I, that's exactly right. Here's the story. Mr. Dunn was about 6'6", and he had extraordinary long arms. His father was a colonial official from Britain. They had settled here in Toronto. They were given 100 acres of land going that way, from Queen Street down to the lake. Wow. He joined a military regiment, a Canadian one, and then he was seconded to the Light Brigade in Britain. He was so tall, he had a special sword made for him that was longer than a standard sword, and he had long arms. In the middle of the battle of the charge, he turned around and saw three of his officers. Wait till the streetcar's gone. Three of his officers who were trapped by a whole group of Russian cavalry. So he wheeled his horse and charged back, and because he was so tall and his arm was so long and the sword was so long, he could swipe away at them and they couldn't get back at him. And he drove them off and rescued all of his fellow soldiers. And so he was recommended, and in the very first group that was presented with their Victoria Crosses, he was one. Now I'd love to know the list, because I don't know whether Dunn was the first in the alphabet or he was 8th or something. I can't find that out. But anyway, he was presented by Queen Victoria with the medal. It was from they captured cannons. They melted down the bronze from those cannons. Until this day, all the Victoria Crosses are made from that bronze. Alexander Dunn was an old boy. He went to Upper Canada College. If you go to Upper Canada College and you go in the main entrance and you look to your left, his medal is sitting right there on the wall. Anybody ever hear this story? I think it's pretty important. That's why you go on ROM walks. And that's why you look up at street signs and say, I wonder what that was all about. And you do some digging, you can find some amazing things. Let's go look at some others.